Hey yo, football fans, it's another great year. Fantasy football fiends, grab your beer. Giving you the best draft tips for all your picks. Starts and sits to the waiver wire fix. From my drafts galore to stats that's hardcore. Triple F does it all, have y'all screaming more. So sit back, relax, let the experts prevail. JT Magnum, SiggyGunz never fail.
What's up, fantasy football fans? My name is JT Magnum, and here along with SiggyGunz, and welcome to Fantasy Football Fiends Week 12 of our Stardom Situm show. And we always want to introduce, our show. I mean, it is Week 12, but for all the new viewers that watch, we have a ticker at the bottom. It displays our rankings for the week, our personal rankings for the week, and we don't do kickers, but these rankings are just the players, how we feel, how they're going to do for the week. And also, we don't talk about the big name players. We only talk about pretty much the smaller players. The only time we talk about big name players is if we're sitting them. We try to give you guys the best options that you can for small time players, or secondary players, or your wide receiver 2 or 3s. So at the end of the show, we take comments. Obviously, you can always comment in the comment section, ask us questions and stuff like that. And that's it. Thanks for all the support for all the people that have been watching the show. We appreciate all of you. And let's get this started. Let's talk about injuries. First and foremost, injuries this week. The Larry Fitzgerald has an MCL sprain. Apparently he's playing. So, I mean, he's the guy
you should might be there.
Yeah, it's a grade 2 MCL sprain. I don't know what that means. I'm not a doctor. But apparently he's playing. Emmanuel Sanders is another one you got to watch for. He had a concussion. Everybody saw that huge hit that he took in that Rams game, where he flew off the screen pretty much. And he has a concussion. I don't know if he's going to play, so monitor his situation. I doubt it as well. Jordan Reed from the Redskins has a hamstring pull. I'm not sure of his situation. He's another guy you need to monitor. Julius Thomas, from what I hear, is fine, but he has some kind of ankle issue. I don't know if it's a sprain or what it is, but I know he has an ankle issue. And from what I hear, he's playing. I'm just not sure. That's another guy to monitor. Dwayne Allen has an ankle sprain. I think it's a high ankle sprain, and those are nagging. And his situation is he might actually not play. And Coby Fleener played well in the last game, so I'm thinking maybe Coby Fleener might play again for him. Not sure. He's another guy you need to monitor. And Ben Tate was released today by the Cleveland Browns. That frees up.
Blount.
And Blount. Oh, LaGarrette Blount.
Yep.
So yeah, so LaGarrette Blount gone, Ben Tate gone. So that leaves Terrence West and Isaiah Crowell as the main guys in Cleveland. So there you go. Week 12 buys this week: Pittsburgh and Carolina. And let's get right into the waiver wire pickups. Who's your 3 waiver wire pickups of the week?
Well, obviously, no list is going to be complete without Jonas Gray after that 4-touchdown performance, right?
Yeah.
Brian Mallett is another one, and Jacob Tamme, since Julius Thomas got a little banged up there.
Yeah, my 3 also are obviously Jonas Gray, and I think we actually talked about him maybe 3 weeks ago. I'm not sure. I recall either in the comment section we talked about him or in somewhere, but I remember there was a conversation about Jonas Gray. I'm not sure if he was actually in our waiver wires, but we did talk about him 3 weeks ago. But obviously he's the main waiver wire pickup this week. Everybody, he's the hot commodity with that 200 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns.
What's pretty amazing this season, this fantasy football season, it seems like every week we've had at least one running back in the waiver pickup. And, that usually doesn't happen in the years past. You know what I mean? Usually your running backs last the whole season. Even if they're hurt, you already knew who the backup was. This is like a surprise for everybody. Every week, if you think you don't have a running back, it seems like there's always somebody that's going to be there.
Yeah, it's a weird, wacky fantasy football season this year. It's been hard to judge. I'm surprised that we get some of the stuff right that we get right, because it's been a hard season. I would admit this is probably one of the hardest seasons I've had to actually, figure out fantasy football. It just takes a lot of looking up research, takes a lot of figuring out what a player might do versus a defense and stuff like that. But man, it's been crazy. But the rest of my waivers, there's Devontae Freeman from the Falcons, who Antone Smith is going on IR. So that leaves Steven Jackson and Devontae Freeman, the rookie. And Steven Jackson, as you all know, has just been, and he looks old. I mean, he's just not been playing well. Yep. And with the Falcons in a playoff hunt and, wanting to run the ball, he's a guy that you might want to look at.
In first place.
Amazingly, I know. They had 4-6. So, and with Emmanuel Sanders being out, Cody Latimer from the Broncos, the rookie wide receiver, he's a guy you should look at, because if Emmanuel Sanders is out, this guy probably is actually going to take the starting spot with leaving Welker in the slot. So look for Cody Latimer to actually play good. So let's get into the stardom portion of the show. Who's your 3 quarterback starts?
I got Josh McCown. Yes, that Josh McCown. And I got Mark Sanchez again, and then Joe Flacco. And I'll go ahead and talk about Josh McCown. The Chicago Bears defense. Hold on, something's going on. The Chicago Bears defense is just horrible. And McCown and Mike Evans are on another level right now, quarterback receiver playing here. And I just think that even if the Tampa Bay isn't going to be a team that I would fear, I think Chicago, obviously their offense should be good enough to beat them. But I just think that if it's a blowout kind of game, McCown is just going to have an incredible game also. I'm not saying that he's going to have, a Aaron Rodgers type of game, but he can throw 300 yards easily just as much as the other QB. So I think he's going to have a good game. And I just think that McCown is a name that you don't really hear associated with fantasy football, but this could be a good week for him.
Yeah. My 3 quarterbacks are going to be Tony Romo, Jay Cutler, and Joe Flacco. And we're going to talk about Jay Cutler. I mean, he's a guy that's playing, obviously, it's been one of those up and down kind of seasons for him, but no matter what, he does pretty well, and he plays, he still has Alshon Jeffrey, still has Brandon Marshall to throw to, and of course Matt Forte, who he throws to a lot as well. So, yep. I mean, this week going against Tampa Bay, that defense for Tampa Bay, they can't stop the pass. So, I mean, look for Jay Cutler to have, especially at home too. He always plays well at home. So look for Jay Cutler to have a really solid game this week. Who's your 3 running backs?
That's going to be a high-scoring game. The running backs, I have Denard Robinson, LaShawn McCoy. It's pretty sad to mention a big name like that as a must-start. And C.J. Anderson. And I'll go ahead and talk about McCoy. Now, we've all documented that he's just had a horrible game. But we just saw what Le'Veon Bell did to Tennessee. Tennessee can't stop the run right now. And I would think that if there's ever a game where they really need McCoy right now, Philadelphia, coming off a loss, they need to reestablish their identity. I know they're a pass, first offense, but I think McCoy needs to be more involved than what he is. I know he's had his problems, but this is the perfect time, knowing that this team can't stop the run, where they should get him confidence moving forward and have McCoy just run well on them. So I just think this is going to be a good game for McCoy.
Yeah, my 3 are going to be Alfred Blue, Denard Robinson, and Frank Gore. And Denard Robinson, this guy he's been running phenomenal for Jacksonville. And lo and behold, here comes Indianapolis. And what did the New England Patriots do to Indianapolis? They ran all over them, and it didn't stop. So, and it looks like Indianapolis has a little bit of problems right now stopping the run. And so Jacksonville, being, that they actually like to establish the run and need to establish the run, Denard Robinson, I think, is going to have a field day. I mean, I don't think they're going to beat Jacksonville or beat Indianapolis, but Denard Robinson probably will have a great game.
I think he will too.
So who's your 3 wide receivers?
We talked about McCown. I have to go Mike Evans, Wes Welker, and Josh Gordon is back, and he is activated, and he will play. And I'm going to talk about Josh Gordon. They're playing Atlanta. So Cleveland was going to be throwing all over Atlanta anyways because they can't stop the pass. And now you have Josh Gordon. The coaches, the coaching staff, and the offense, they've already been talking about making sure that Gordon gets thrown right into the fire, and they're going to be using him a lot. Obviously, with the Ben Tate being cut, the running game, going forward might not be a necessity. I would say that they've been doing pretty well with just Crowell and West anyways, but just goal line stuff. But I think with Josh Gordon, they're going to be throwing at him a lot. He's obviously a great presence for the team. I just think he's going to have a real good game against Atlanta. What a week to come back on.
Yeah, I know he gets the Falcons. So I have Josh Gordon too. I have Josh Gordon, Sammy Watkins, and Roddy White actually in that same game. And talk about Roddy White. Joe Hayden's going to probably be all over Julio Jones. And I would assume they're going to put him on there because they usually leave him on an island. I still think Julio Jones is going to have a great game. But I think Roddy White's going to benefit from that because he draws the other corner from Cleveland. And Roddy White's going to be the guy that, they're going to throw to him a little bit more considering that Joe Hayden is on Julio Jones. So I think Roddy White's going to have probably a better game than Julio Jones this week. I think he's going to have I think he's going to finally get get some 100 yards and get a couple touchdowns or a touchdown. But with Joe Hayden especially being all over Julio, because Joe Hayden's not a bad corner, but when he plays physical and he plays, he's all over you. He can be a great shutdown corner when he's playing well. So who's your 3 tight end starts?
Kobe Fleener. We're talking about what's his name's injury and Jason Witten against the Giants and Antonio Gates. And I'll go ahead and talk about Kobe Fleener. I'm sorry, Ron. Him and Andrew Luck, they have great chemistry already. And it's just so that, Allen has been playing real great with him, and he's just been taking over tight end spot. Now that he's hurt, you saw Luck trust, Fleener more. And I just think that, this is a game against Jacksonville where they're going to be dumping off a lot. I know they're probably going to look to pass, in the air also, but I think this is going to be a game that's going to be more of a blowout. They're going to go ahead and try to establish some kind of run with Trent Richardson since they lost Jamal Bradshaw. And I just think that this is going to be Fleener's game again. And he had a great game last week, and I think it's just going to continue this week.
Yeah, my 3 tight ends are Jared Cook, Zach Ertz, and Larry Donnell. And we'll talk about Jared Cook because Jared Cook, now that Sean Hill is at quarterback, he's getting more looks. Because it looked like Austin Davis was, his guys were the wide receivers or the running backs. And it looks like now with Sean Hill at quarterback, Jared Cook is getting a lot more looks because Sean Hill likes to throw to tight ends. So, playing at San Diego, they're going to need their tight ends because, San Diego's going to be all over those wide receivers. And the Rams, right now they have Kenny Britt, and that's really it. Brian Quick is gone for the year. And the receivers, they're suspects. So look for Jared Cook to, do some things in there. It's a fast tight end, fast athletic tight end. And I really like him this week going against the Chargers, whose defense is, they're not the best of defenses right now, especially with some injuries that they've had. So, I look for Jared Cook to do well this week. Who's your 3 defenses?
Kansas City, Green Bay, and the New York Jets. And I'm going to talk about the Jets playing the Buffalo Bills. I don't know if you saw the weather in Buffalo right now, but it is Arctic blast. I mean, it looks like it.
I live here. I pretty much live there.
It looks like something from that movie 2012 right now.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I don't think that weather is going to be going away anytime soon. And this is going to be a kind of game, I think, especially this time of year in Buffalo, where you either can run the ball and you're not going to have much passing. And it depends if there's elements in the game. I don't see a lot happening. So because of that, knowing that Buffalo Bills' run game is suspect right now, you have a lot of injuries and you have, old people like Fred Jackson. I just don't see the passing game being a factor for both teams. I think it's going to come down to the ground, and I think that favors the Jets. That if you're not going to be able to run on the Jets front, so I think the Jets defense is going to be a pretty good defense. I think there's going to be a lot of fumbles this week.
So do I, especially if Bryce Brown is carrying the ball. But my 3 defenses, I feel the exact same way you feel about the snow, except I feel the opposite. I got the Buffalo Bills defense, Kansas City Chiefs, and the San Francisco 49ers. And I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about the 49ers. I know it's my team, but I'm going to talk about them this week. They're playing the Redskins and RG3. RG3 is struggling. He is struggling so bad. I don't know what is going on with that team. With the amount of weapons they have on offense, they should be able to do some stuff. But right now, the San Francisco 49ers playing without their players, high-profile Pro Bowl linebackers are still playing phenomenal defense. And now they have Alden Smith back, and now Aaron Lynch is playing opposite him. And these guys can just, I mean, if you watched the game last week, 5 turnovers they forced against Eli Manning. They were getting to the quarterback almost every play. And I don't know how you can block those 2 on the outside when, I mean, the way they rush the passer now, just the burst from Aldon Smith having him back has just lit a spark under that team getting to the passer. So it just looks from here on out like the Niners are going to be able to get to the quarterback anytime they pretty much want to. So I like them this week, especially going against that suspect Redskins offense and RG3. And they have no, Trent Williams is gone too. They have nobody to protect RG3 this week.
Yep.
So let's get into the sit-em portion of the show. Who's your 3 quarterback must-sits?
Well, you just hammered him a lot just now. RG3 obviously is going to be a sit against San Francisco. Russell Wilson and Ryan Mallett. Not going to talk about Russell Wilson. Now, Russell Wilson, he's been okay fantasy-wise. He obviously been getting some points on the ground. He's at home where he tends to play better, but Arizona's defense is playing pretty solid right now. And I think it's a game where the last time Seattle lost at home, you know, I know they've lost here recently, but the first loss at home for Russell Wilson was against the Cardinals. The Cardinals own Seattle, it seems, recently. And I just think that this is going to be a game where Arizona is on top of their game and Seattle is struggling. They really need this game at home, but I just think the Cardinals defense is going to swarm Russell Wilson, and I think he's going to have an average at best game, even at home.
Yeah, I can see that he's going to, I think he's going to struggle as well. I know they want to beat Arizona really badly. Arizona beat them in Seattle last year, and I know Seattle wants to get him back, but right now, Seattle's minus offensive lineman. I believe Okung is gone. Russell Okung is gone. It's going to be rough for them with that blitzing Cardinals team.
And if Marshawn Lynch can't run, if they're stopping him, then that's going to even make it, compact even more. It's
going to have to make Russell Wilson beat you, and I don't know if they have the receivers right now to match up with Arizona's defenders. So yeah,
they look like they need a Percy Harvin right now.
Yeah, you think? So my 3 quarterback sits are Matthew Stafford, Michael Vick, and Andy Dalton. And I'm going to talk about Matt Stafford because he struggled against Arizona as well. I mean, they managed 6 points against that team. I mean, I know there was some questionable calls and some things that went a little wrong that game, but it still doesn't matter. They struggled against them, and he didn't have a great game. And it gets no easier when you're going against New England now with Darrelle Revis, Brandon Browner, and the way the New England plays defense. And I think even if Calvin Johnson's not on Revis Island, because what I'm noticing is Revis is actually shadowing the other receiver while they double team the good receiver. So he actually in essence takes away one receiver still out of the game while they can double another one and play defense all over the field. So it's actually making their defense even better. So in this case, I think he's actually going to shadow Golden Tate. That's the more physical of the receivers, because Calvin Johnson can't be physical, but Golden Tate's one of those Hines Ward type of receivers who just likes to, roam around the middle of the field, get open. So you take him out of the game, double team Calvin Johnson, who are you going to throw to? So I think Matt Stafford's going to struggle this week. So I don't like him at all this week. So who's your 3 running back starts?
Marshawn Lynch, who I just talked about Arizona against, Jonas Gray, and Reggie Bush. Now going to talk about Gray. 4 touchdown game. We're telling you to pick him up on waiver wires. But Detroit Lions front defense is pretty good. And also, you just cannot trust Belichick in a situation like this. Every single time somebody breaks out for the Patriots, the very next week, it's historical. You can look it up. The very next week, that player disappears completely off the map. So I wouldn't be surprised if Vereen, who hasn't been doing anything, is going to be the main focal point against the Lions to try to do some screens and get around that front.
Yeah, my funny thing is my 3 running back sits are also Jonas Gray, Mark Ingram, and Alfred Morris. And I'm going to sit Mark Ingram because Baltimore has been phenomenal against the run. And New Orleans needs that running game. They're going to be passing a lot. And I just think that with the way Joe Flacco is going to play this week, New Orleans is going to be down again at home. And they're going to have to pass the ball a lot more. And Mark Ingram doesn't really benefit when you pass the ball. So
I expect a high-scoring game in that game. I really do, too.
That one, yeah. I think it's going to be a lot of passing. I don't think it's going to be a lot of running. So I think Mark Ingram doesn't benefit
definitely.
this week from that. So sit Mark Ingram, even though that's a tough one to sit, I know, but it's a tough one. So who's your 3 wide receiver sits?
Sammy Watkins, Dwayne Bowe, and Andre Hawkins. And I'll go and talk about Sammy Watkins since you had him on your start list. And I think we have the same mentality in the game, but you think it's going to be favoring Buffalo over the Jets. Here's the main reason why I think Buffalo's going to struggle more. One, Orton's already starting to struggle. He's inconsistent. He showed it against Miami. He really looks lost, and it's gotten to the point to where now everybody wants E.J. Manuel back. And I think in a game where potentially the weather is going to be playing a factor, I look at the 2 quarterbacks, Vic versus Orton, and I just think Vic's legs is what's going to make that offense stay on the field longer. So I don't think Watkins is going to be a factor in this game at all. If anybody's going to be one, I think it would be Fred Jackson, maybe, but we'll see.
Yeah, my 3 wide receiver. I actually have big names on my wide receiver sits this week. I know it's not like me to really do that much, but Calvin Johnson, Michael Floyd, and Deshaun Jackson. And I already talked a little bit about kind of what I think is going to happen with Calvin Johnson and the Patriots. So I'll go ahead and talk about Deshaun Jackson. His kind of history against the 49ers is not well. I mean, I think he's had like 1 good game really against the 49ers back with the Eagles. And I think it was a Donovan McNabb game where he had a pretty solid game. But the Niners play great coverage. They're really sound. They don't really give up too many deep balls. And Deshaun Jackson's kind of your deep threat or your kind of quick bubble screen, wide receiver screen kind of guy. The Niners defend wide receiver screens probably better than anybody in the NFL. And along with that, they're pretty sound in the fact that they don't allow deep balls. They don't have a lot of one-on-one coverage. The safeties get back, especially with Antoine Bethea there. So I actually see Pierre Garçon getting a lot more looks than Deshaun Jackson. If Deshaun Jackson does get some looks, RG3 has to have some serious accuracy to be able to hit him in a game against San Francisco, who's playing phenomenal on defense, like I said earlier in the show. So who's your 3 tight ends sits of the week?
Luke Wilson, Eric Ebron, and Vernon Davis. We already talked about the struggles that we said about Seattle and Detroit, so I'll talk about Vernon Davis since I think this is going to be a San Francisco 49er game where they're going to easily beat Washington, and I think they're going to do it by controlling the game. Run Frank Gore for 3 downs, and then you're going to have your passes, and I don't know if necessarily think it's going to be him they're going to be throwing to. I actually see Crabtree being more of the 3rd down receiver, so I just think that this is either going to go 2 ways. It's going to be a shootout, which I doubt it, or San Francisco is just going to have the game at hand so much that you're going to have a 200-yard rushing game and maybe only 150 passing. And at that point, I don't see Vernon Davis getting a bulk of those touches.
Yeah, my 3 tight end sits are Charles Clay, Vernon Davis as well, who's been just a disappointment, and Michael Rivera from Oakland. And I'm going to talk about Charles Clay because the Dolphins are who are they playing this week? Denver. I'm sorry.
Denver.
And Denver, they're looking to rebound, especially with the game they played against the Rams. And they don't really. I know they let up last week a little bit with Jared Cook getting some yards, but I don't think they're going to do it twice. And I think they're going to attack Tannehill like crazy. And I don't think he's going to have that many passing yards this week. If there's anything they're going to try to do, it's going to try to establish the run, and Denver's phenomenal against the run. So I don't think Charles Clay is going to have that type of game where, where they're just letting them loose, get open. And he's not as athletic as a Jared Cook anyway. So I don't see him beating linebackers down the field and doing what they've been doing with him the last couple of weeks. Because actually Clay's been more involved in the offense the last couple of weeks. So I don't see him this week doing that against Denver. So who's your who's your 3 defensive sits of the week?
I got Houston, Chicago, and New Orleans. And I'm going to talk about Houston since we kind of touched up on the New Orleans and Chicago games already. Houston's playing the Bengals, and ever since Andy Dalton has done nothing, which was a couple of weeks ago, last week he showed up, and I think the main reason why is because A.J. Green looks like he's getting healthier and healthier as he's, recovering from the injury. And I think obviously with Sanu, they've always needed to find out who's that second receiver, and now Sanu is that guy. You have Jeremy Hill, who's been a great running back, and if you do get Bernard back, you can have a nice thunder and lightning combo. Slowly but surely, the Bengals are starting to round into form. The defense has always been there, except for against the Browns that game. But I think that the Bengals now coming into a Houston team that really has been spotty at defense at best, and I don't trust Mallett. I just think that this is going to be a lot more opportunities for Cincinnati to score a lot, and I just think Houston's going to struggle, even at home.
Yeah, my 3 defensive sits are the Dolphins, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Detroit Lions. And I'm talking about the Lions. I know they've been playing phenomenal defense, but they're playing Tom Brady now, and Tom Brady right now he's on point. So even if the Lions do stop the run, which most likely they will stop the Patriots run, the Patriots don't stop running. They run to set up play action passes. They run to set up things for themselves and set up play action passes for Gronkowski. And I don't think the Detroit Lions have anybody on that team that can stick with Gronkowski. They don't have anybody on that team that can be able to stop LaFell and Edelman. And you saw what the the Cardinals did to him last week with a couple catches by Michael Floyd over their cornerbacks. I just don't see the Detroit Lions being able to stick with New England offensively and with the way New England plays defense as well, and especially when the game's in New England. So, and that game also might be a lot of snow as well. So, I definitely like, and Tom Brady, everybody knows, he throws the ball amazing in the snow.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's somebody that throws 5 touchdowns in a blizzard. So
yeah, he can throw in the snow. He can play so even if it's cold, even if it's windy, that guy can play in cold. And he's just a cold weather quarterback. The guy can do it. And you gotta give Brady credit for that. So I don't think Detroit could stop him this week. I don't think they're a team that you want to start this week. I know they've been playing phenomenal defense, but not against the Patriots this week. So let's get into the sleeper portion of the show. Who's your 3 sleepers of the week?
My 3 sleepers of the week is Charles Sims, Tampa Bay, Devontae Freeman, talked about him at Atlanta, and Dan Herron. Everybody's like, who? He's the running back for the Colts. And I'm telling you right now, Trent Richardson, he's done. I mean, the guy is so horrible. He's going to have his only chance is going to be this game, and I would not be surprised because he just can't run. He just can't find the holes. He's not fast enough, quick enough. I don't know what it is about him, but I just got a feeling that Herron is going to be the guy that eventually takes over.
He's just a bust.
He's a bust.
I don't know what it is with Trent Richardson, but he can't. It doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing out there. Like he's lost.
It looks like he looks.
I'm surprised he starts
for the pile instead of looking for the open field. I mean, it's hilarious. Watching him play is hilarious. It really is.
Yeah, I'm surprised he still starts. I mean, maybe it's just the way Indianapolis runs the ball. Like they don't run it well, but it seems like when Bradshaw's in there, he runs it well. So I don't know. I don't know what it is with Richardson, but I think they made a mistake trying to, when they traded for him. But maybe they thought they were, getting their, the old Edgerrin James kind of thing with Peyton Manning, Edgerrin James, and Marvin Harrison when they had the triplets. But it's not working like that.
I really don't blame the Colts for trying. I mean, because you looked at on paper, he did have a solid season, and then he was entering that year in Cleveland where you just expected more, and he didn't come through. So then they traded for him, thinking, okay, well, we saw what he did. There's flashes there. He could do that over here. Just needs a fresh start. I can understand it. Maybe not give up a first round, but I can understand why they did it. But man, the guy's he's just a bust at that point.
I mean, he basically got picked in the first round twice. If you think about it, both times he scored a bunch of touchdowns the one year. So I guess I give him credit. He had the one the one first year where he scored a bunch of touchdowns. He scored 11 or 12 or something like that. But after that, he's just done nothing. But my 3 sleepers are Isaiah Crowell from the Browns, obviously Ben Tate's release. And he's obviously the starter this week. I mean, I don't trust these Cleveland running backs because you never know who's the one's going to run. But if he's the one that's starting, he's the one that's probably going to get the bulk of the carries. So Steven Jackson going against Cleveland. Cleveland has had a hard time stopping the run. And obviously with Antone Smith out and now, Devontae Freeman may be playing a little, but Steven Jackson's still the starter. So he's obviously getting the carries. And Bobby Rainey going against Chicago's defense. They're going to run the ball a lot. So Bobby Rainey's going to get some carries.
Sims, I'm telling you, Sims is going to be the man.
Yep, Sims or Rainey, but for now Rainey's starting. And Rainey hasn't disappointed. Rainey can play. You know, sometimes he'll fumble a little bit, but hopefully if he doesn't do that, he'll be a sleeper this week. So that does it for the show. I didn't touch on a couple things, but first, leave your comments in the comment section. As always, ask us questions. Any kind of questions you want to ask, whether it be trades or who to set your lineup, or or maybe if you want to give us some tips on who do you think is going to do well this week. Also, read the description. We do this. I always tell people we do this show on Tuesdays. It's a Tuesday night, so we don't know. We don't really know who's going to be sitting out, who's inactive, or if any players that we talked about might be inactive. You never know what can happen in a week of football or practices or things like that. So read the description. We always update it, daily. If we find out somebody's injured, we'll put it in the description. We'll update it. It'll be highlighted with update with stars and blah, blah, blah. You can, read it then. And, stay tuned and, keep watching. And like I said, if you find out somebody's injured, feel free to message us, comment, and we'll update it ourselves, because maybe we were not home or something, and you can update it for us. So, and everybody that's helping out in the comment section, giving everybody else fantasy and football advice, we appreciate it. We like it. That's what makes fantasy football great. Everybody has their own opinions. Everybody has their own, feeling of what, may happen in the week. And it's always good to interact and share our thoughts with you guys. So thanks a lot. So for Fantasy Football Fiends, JT Magnum and SiggyGunz, we're out. Peace.